Israel appears to be preparing to launch an attack on Iran soon. That's the view of officials in the U.S. and Europe, and it's been widely reported in the U.S. media. The prospect of Iranian retaliation led the U.S. to authorize the withdrawal of some diplomats and non-essential personnel from the Middle East. And now the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem has issued a security alert restricting its employees and their families from traveling outside central Israeli cities. In a further escalation, the International Atomic Energy Agency's board has declared for the first time in almost 20 years that Iran is in breach of its nuclear non-proliferation obligations. This could open the door to sanctions by major powers, further intensifying global pressure on Tehran. Steve Leibowitz has more.
Amid stalled nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran, concerns are rising of a potential Israeli strike on Iran in the coming days. U.S. media reports, including NBC and CBS, say that officials in Washington believe Israel is considering launching an attack on Iran in the coming days. The reports suggest that Israel plans to attack Iran even though the U.S. is unlikely to support the move, while still in talks with Tehran on a new nuclear agreement. The anticipated Iranian retaliation to a potential Israeli attack prompted the U.S. to order a partial evacuation of its Middle East embassies and army bases in Kuwait, Iraq, and Bahrain. The head of CENTCOM said he ordered non-essential staff and troop dependents to leave the region after the Iranian defense minister threatened to strike U.S. bases.
و در اون صورت آمریکا باید منطقه رو ترک کنه چون تمام پایگاهاش در دسترس ماست ما دسترسی بهش داریم و بدون ملاحظه همه اونها را در کشورهای میزبان مورد هدف قرار خواهیم داد.
President Trump confirmed to reporters that the U.S. is drawing down the presence of non-essentials due to the potential for regional unrest.
We're hearing reports that U.S. personnel are being moved out of the region within striking distance.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are being, we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple.
Tensions in the region have been rising in recent days as talks between the U.S. and Iran over its nuclear program appear to have hit an impasse. The talks seek to limit Iran's nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of some of the crushing economic sanctions that the U.S. has imposed on the Islamic Republic. It's unclear whether a sixth round of nuclear talks will take place this weekend in Oman. The UN nuclear watchdog's 35-nation Board of Governors passed a resolution today, formally declaring Iran in breach of its non-proliferation obligations for the first time in almost 20 years. The move set in motion an effort to snap back UN sanctions on Iran for nuclear violations. Iranian officials called the findings blatant lies.
And joining us now to break down these reports of potential plans to strike Iran and the latest nuclear developments is senior Iran researcher at the Memory Institute, Nati Tubian. Thank you for joining.
Hello, Sivan. Good afternoon.
Nati, multiple Western and U.S. sources now say Israel is fully ready to strike Iran's nuclear facilities within days, despite official silence on Israel's part. How credible are these reports, in your opinion? Will Israel attack, and will it attack now?
It might be a part of a psychological warfare conducted against Iran to maximize the achievements that the U.S. administration wants to extract from Iran. But on the other hand, I don't see any possibility of an Israeli attack until Sunday, while the sixth round of the nuclear negotiations between the U.S. administration and the Iranian government takes place. And the thing that even makes it more stronger is that the Pride March in Tel Aviv that is due to take place at Friday is not being canceled.
Right, so that's taking place tomorrow. But we do know that the U.S. has ordered the evacuation of non-essential embassy staff in Iraq and Bahrain and Kuwait. Does this mean, in your opinion, that we're closer than ever to a strike?
I think all of the parties are waiting for the results of the Sunday negotiations. It might be partial evacuation, and if we are witnessing the escalation of the situation, we're probably witnessing maybe full or more evacuation of the American installations.
Does Israel have the American support for such a strike if it happens? We know there has been some tension about this, and Trump has asked Netanyahu to hold off.
Well, I read one commentary that as Ariel Sharon dragged Menachem Begin to Lebanon war, so will do Benjamin Netanyahu, and he'll drag Donald Trump to the Iran war. I don't see this happen. All the parties has stated more than once that they are fully coordinated, and we also have received the news that Ron Dermer and head of Mossad, I think Dedi Barnea, will go to meet Stephen Witkoff before his meeting with the Iranians.
Now, Iran's leadership has warned of retaliation, including potential strikes on U.S. bases, and we know they're capable of attacking Israel too. How concerned should Israel be?
Well, if we see the two recent missile attacks conducted by Iran, and if, as the reports have mentioned, Israel enjoys the full support of the American anti-missile defense THAAD system, I can allow myself to think that we are pretty secure. But if the Iranian have threatened that in case their military installation are being attacked, they will retaliate and attack nuclear Israeli facilities. I don't see. I mean, I cannot predict where it is going to advance and what will eventually happen. Although, since I think that since the Iranian regime wants to survive, it will be totally foolish of them to attack an operating nuclear Israeli facility.
And how significant is the IAEA board's declaration today that Iran is in breach of its non-proliferation obligations? What does it mean practically for Tehran's nuclear program?
It means that we are moving closer one more step toward the, I think, to setting in motion the snapback mechanism. And if it happens, all the Security Council sanctions that had been imposed on Iran prior to the JCPOA agreement will return. And even China and Russia won't be able to veto this measure.
Nati Tubian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Israel Bonds, the heartbeat of solidarity, the powerhouse of support. When the Israeli-Hamas war hit, Israel Bonds stood tall, proving we're more than just an investment, we're a lifeline. Israel Bonds pledges to ensure Israel thrives and flourishes. Investing in Israel Bonds isn't just a financial move, it's a declaration for resilience, strength, and a better future for Israel. Join us and let solidarity echo through generations.
Another difficult day in Israel as the bodies of two hostages were recovered in Gaza, and ILTV's Shosh Bedrosian is in studio now with the details. Shosh, what else can you tell us?
Yeah, devastating. I mean, it's the third time in the last week or so the IDF has actually recovered bodies. It's a total of 5 bodies in the last few weeks. We know that one of them, confirmed to be Yair Yaakov, he was kidnapped from Kibbutz Nir Oz. His family was also kidnapped as well. 3 people in his family, his partner and his 2 sons, they were all released in November of 2023. But Yair, they say, was actually killed on October 7th, and his body was dragged into Gaza as a hostage. His body, alongside another unidentified hostage at the moment, they were located in Khan Yunis, apparently, according to the IDF. It seems as if there's been more credible intelligence and precise intelligence where the IDF has been able to track down where these bodies actually are located. We know that just last week, the bodies of 2 Americans were located in addition to a Thai hostage just over the weekend. And now we have 2 more hostages that will be coming home. Let's talk about the emotions of this. It's so painful for these families because they've been trying to get some type of closure for so long. And the family actually was the one for Yair Yaakov to put out the confirmation that their father was in fact the body that came home yesterday. One of the sons who survived captivity wrote on his Instagram, I want to read it. Dad, I love you. I don't even know how to react. It's heartbreaking to say this, but I'm already waiting for the funeral. Absolutely tragic.
Wow.
And so many of these families are waiting to close that circle.
And Shosh, on another note, we're also hearing that Hamas gunmen have reportedly killed at least 5 staffers of the U.S. and Israel-affiliated Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, really tragic news again. We know that this is a team that has Palestinians and Americans on it. Like you said, 5 of them were murdered by Hamas. They were on their way to a distribution site in Khan Yunis. Remember, GHF has been very successful. They've been able to distribute so many meals, and now they're worried that a few members of their team could also be kidnapped.
Let's take a look at the phone.
Hamas sources confirmed an incident, saying it attacked members of an Israeli-backed militia, Abu Shabab. In addition to those killed, a number of passengers were reportedly injured. Officials say the GHF is still working to gather information, but it's possible that some staffers were abducted by the gunmen. The official said that for days, Hamas has openly threatened aid workers and the civilians who receive aid from GHF. The officials added that the attack will not deter the group's efforts to provide aid to Palestinians in Gaza. Footage taken yesterday from one of the GHF distribution sites shows the compound being overrun soon after it was open. The video was filmed by local contractors working at the site and appears to highlight continuing struggles to serve Gaza's population. GHF says it's working to adapt procedures to better serve Gaza's population, including opening designated lines for women. Despite the difficulties, the aid distribution is continuing. GHF says it's distributed 45 truckloads of food, totaling 2.5 million meals in the past day, the largest amount in a 24-hour period since the start of operations at the end of last month. It is day 615 of the war in Gaza. 2 IDF soldiers were moderately wounded during fighting in southern Khan Yunis. The soldiers were in a battle that was hit by an RPG.
Thank you, Shosh, for that. And Argentina has made a bold decision to move its embassy to the Israeli capital in 2026, marking a major diplomatic shift. ILTV's Mayan Hoffman is standing by in Jerusalem.
President Javier Milei made history this week, becoming the first Argentinian head of state to speak in the Israeli parliament and using the moment to deliver a powerful message of solidarity.
Y tengo el orgullo de anunciar ante ustedes que en 2026 haremos efectiva la mudanza de nuestra embajada a la ciudad de Jerusalén Occidental como lo prometimos.
The announcement was met with applause from lawmakers across the political spectrum. Milei, a vocal supporter of Israel since taking office, positioned the embassy move as a moral imperative, part of a larger ideological battle between light and darkness.
Es importante entender que estamos en una batalla existencial y moral entre el bien y el mal, batalla que empezamos a perder en el momento en el que nos volvimos incapaces de distinguir entre uno y el otro.
Milei accused the global left of abandoning Western values and siding with terror, and warned that anti-Semitism was once again on the rise. He praised Israel's resilience and achievements, from its founding to its economic transformation. Israeli leaders responded with deep gratitude. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Milei a true friend and lauded his leadership. Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana hailed the moment as historic, while opposition leader Yair Lapid applauded Milei's domestic reforms, using them to draw contrast with Israel's current government. Argentina now joins a small group of countries recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. For Milei, it's not just political, but a stand for truth.
Hundreds of pro-Palestinian activists from across North Africa are pushing toward the Rafah border crossing with Gaza, vowing to, quote-unquote, break the siege. The so-called Convoy of Steadfastness has triggered concern in Israel, where officials have warned the IDF will block any attempt to enter the Gaza Strip. From Tunis to Tripoli and now on the road to Cairo, hundreds of pro-Palestinian activists are taking part in a bold overland mission aiming to reach Gaza's doorstep. Calling themselves the Convoy of Steadfastness, the group says it wants to break what it describes as an 18-year blockade of Gaza, tightened dramatically since the start of the war in October 2023.
متجهين الآن إلى معبر رفح الحدودي بين رفح المصرية ورفح الفلسطينية لكسر الحصار عن إخوتنا في غزة الذي دام هذا الحصار 18 سنة قبل الحرب و18 شهرا بعد الحرب.
The convoy includes some 1,500 Tunisians, 250 Algerians, and a growing number of Libyans who joined in Tripoli. It's expected to arrive in Cairo in the coming days, hoping to cross into Gaza through Egypt's Rafah gate. But Israel says not a chance. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz warned today that the IDF will not allow the convoy to enter Gaza under any circumstances, calling the initiative a dangerous provocation. The convoy's participants say their mission is peaceful, but their message is unmistakably political. For many, it's not just about aid, but resistance and liberation.
والتحرك هذا عنده هدف واضح هو تحرير فلسطين وكسر الحصار عن إخواننا في غزة.
The convoy's next stop is Cairo, where they're expected to push for access to Rafah despite the complex diplomatic and military realities on the ground. Meanwhile, Israel has warned Egypt and other regional players not to allow what it calls political theater to become a security risk. It remains unclear how Egypt will respond, whether it will allow the convoy through or stop them short of the border. The crisis in the Netanyahu-led governing coalition is over, at least for now. Overnight, the lawmakers voted down an opposition-backed bill to disperse the Knesset. This after most ultra-Orthodox MKs agreed not to support the proposal after marathon talks of conscription of yeshiva students. More from ILTV's Steve Leibowitz.
After a day and night of high political drama, the opposition-backed bill to disperse the Knesset and force early elections was voted down early this morning by a vote of 61 to 53. The vote was taken at 3:30 in the morning as Haredi factions agreed to withhold support as lawmakers from Agudat Yisrael split after the Hasidic faction said it would back the bill with 2 of its MKs voting in favor and 1 opposed. The failure of the bill to pass means the opposition cannot again file a motion to disband for another 6 months. The crisis was averted after a meeting between Knesset Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee Chair Yuli Edelstein and Shas and Degel HaTorah parties that confirmed that understandings had been reached regarding the principles for a law regarding the status of yeshiva students. A joint statement by 2 ultra-Orthodox parties said that another few days are needed to complete the final version of legislation, and therefore rabbinical leaders told lawmakers to hold off voting to disband the Knesset for another week. Now the question is whether a bill can be formulated that is acceptable to the coalition. This Likud MK said it's possible to reach an agreement.
We want a bill. We want Haredi kids, youngsters, to go to the army. Opposition wants to make the government fall, and this is all. We want really to respond to the necessity of the army. Opposition want to respond to the necessity of their own needs, meaning making the government collapse.
With the coalition crisis averted, the question is now whether an actual agreement can be reached that will share the burden of IDF service and the security needs of the nation at war.
And the vibrant city of Tel Aviv is approaching one of its biggest events of the year. That is, of course, the Tel Aviv Pride Parade. We're in the midst of Pride Month, and Tel Aviv is often seen as a beacon of pluralism and diversity in the Middle East, making this event a one-of-a-kind for the region. Let's hear more from ILTV's Devo Klein.
The Tel Aviv municipality is predicting a turnout of over 300,000 participants in this year's Tel Aviv Pride Parade, set to take place this Friday, June 13th. Tel Aviv locals and Israelis from across the country hurried to Tel Aviv for this iconic annual event, and even some celebrities were spotted arriving in Israel, including former retired Olympian Caitlyn Jenner. The event will pick up in 2025 after being canceled the previous year. In June 2024, Tel Aviv Mayor Ron Huldai cited the hostage plight as the reason for cancellation, saying that it was not yet the time for celebrations. With the hostages still on the minds of attendees, the celebrations will pick back up for this year's Pride Month. After landing in Israel, former Olympic medalist and current transgender activist Caitlyn Jenner said this about the parade.
I tell people, I said, you know, the second biggest Pride event in the world is in Tel Aviv. And every response is exactly the same. They go, what? What, Tel Aviv? Are you kidding me? And I go, no, Tel Aviv. The Israeli people are very open-minded. They're friendly. They're, they're great for the LGBT community. And nobody knows it. To be honest with you, I think you guys have a marketing problem because maybe I can come out and help market this a little bit. And so, honestly, that's one of the main reasons while I'm here. I want to bring a little bit of light in my small way that I can. And I think if everybody does a little something, we can change people's minds, the perception of what Israel is all about. And so, honestly, that's why I'm here, to do my little part.
In a region that takes a relatively conservative stance, Tel Aviv's Pride Parade serves as a reminder of the importance of Israel as the only democracy in the Middle East. This year's Pride Parade reminds goers that no matter where they are, they can always count on Israel to be a safe space in a city that celebrates culture, identity, acceptance, and unconditional love. Happy Pride.
And now, interested in learning Hebrew? Have a look at eTeacher, an online and live course with the most established Hebrew language instruction institution. For more info on the Rosen School of Hebrew, please scan the QR code on your screen.
To learn a new language, vocabulary, and alphabet can be very intimidating.
I came to learning Hebrew with absolutely no experience.
The Rosen School has been a real benefit. We have been engaged with the most wonderful teacher.
I love the subjects. My knowledgeable teachers, my classmates were enjoyable to be with.
The teachers make you feel very comfortable and make you feel safe, make you feel confident that you can learn.
The program, content, and teachers at the Rosen School have helped me to not only learn Hebrew effectively, but also begin to truly understand and think in Hebrew.
And we're now able to converse meaningfully in Hebrew amongst ourselves and our classmates.
This is how good Rosen School is.
If you're considering learning Hebrew, I strongly recommend the Rosen School.
It is a wonderful experience. I certainly recommend and encourage participation.
I've been on this incredible journey for like 5 years maybe, and it's just the joy in my life. I invite you to go. I recommend it.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Clear skies are expected around most of the country tonight, with temperatures reaching lows of 21 degrees Celsius or 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow we'll see sunny skies alongside hot temperatures, seeing highs of 33 degrees Celsius or 91 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel and the Middle East, tune in to ILTV on the hour starting at 6 a.m. Eastern Time on our streaming network. Be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Sivan Raviv. Be well, be safe, and thank you so much for watching.